When we think about cancer, just general, I know it's all types of cancer, but what is cancer just from the basics?
So first, starting um, with the basics, but talking about normal, we're made up of cells. Like we we think of, the different parts of our body. Those are like the visible organs and structures in our body. Each of them are made up of tiny microscopic um,
Mm,
units that are called cells. And um, and there are different kinds of cells. There are bone cells and muscle cells and nerve cells and heart cells and intestine cells, etc. So these cells, when we started out in our mother's uterus, we were one cell in the
mm,
beginning.
okay.
And as an complete organism, I think we've got over a trillion that. So in order for cells to divide, they need to be like identical, right? The
Mm,
cell that is going from one to two, it should be a twin of the same kind of cell that is being
right.
produced. In order for that to happen, everything that's in the cell number one needs to be like Xeroxed, um,
A
complete
carbon
with
copy,
a
but
carbon
exact.
copy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, that's why for most cancers that are being treated with cure as the goal, it's
Hmm.
recommended that for some period of time, um, patients get seen by their oncologist or their surgeon just to monitor for any signs of recurrence, because patients may not have symptoms, but things might be starting to brew up. And sometimes you do x-rays or scans to monitor that. Sometimes, like for your dad with prostate cancer, there's a blood test that
Right.
is
Yeah.
even more sensitive way. So I wanted to just show one thing. I don't know if this is going to project well. Probably not. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
it's looking right there. Uh-huh.
okay. All right. So this is here a scale. This line, the line here
Hmm.
is a billion, supposed to represent a billion cells. So anything above the line is visible. Anything below the line is too few to be able to detect. Okay.
Hmm.
So the X over here, that might be, all right, we found the cancer and we operate on it and we treat it. And over a course of time, it seems to disappear or it's entirely removed. Okay, so you call that being in a remission.
Okay.
But what you have to recognize is that some remissions are like this X, that they're
Mm.
just below the ability to
To
detect
detect
it.
it.
And um, and so for that person, a few months later, this could be back up above the line, and that's a recurrence. For others, it's like this X, where it actually did take away everything that was ever going to be a problem. And so that's the cure.
Okay.
So, but both of them, for at least some period of time, the patient has no evidence of cancer.
Mm. And you wouldn't even know it's there.
You wouldn't.
Good
There are certain things that can help increase your knowledge that it's likely that the cancer is going to recur. Sometimes the size of the tumor, for certain types of cancer, you look at the lymph nodes, though that's part of our immune system that
Hmm.
are scattered throughout our body, and many organs have lymph nodes nearby that um, fluids drain into. And that's often the first place that a cancer might spread to.
Mm.
And if you remove the lymph nodes that contain cancer next to the organ, if there are any, that can cure the cancer too. Like maybe that's the only place that it's spread to so far. So you remove them all. But if there's lymph node involvement, if the in more number of lymph nodes that are involved, those all increase the likelihood that the cancer is going to come back some days. There's the way cancers appear under the microscope that can
Hmm.
help tell us. And then more recently, actually, it's kind of exploded since I've stopped practicing. We find most cancers have certain mutations where certain proteins that have something to do with how cells grow and divide normally.
Hmm.
Um, and these proteins are part of what is causing the cancer because maybe the mutation is causing this protein that says to a cell, grow, to be constantly turned on instead of having the ability to turn on or off.
Okay.
Um, or maybe there's a protein that says stop growing and that gets mutated so it never says stop. And so the
Mm.